Yo, what's going on, everybody, man? You already know. I don't think I gotta say too much. By the title and thumbnail, you really already know what to expect. Another crazy, sad case of us just exposing really what's the truth already. And us bringing light to the world that we live in that is so deceiving. But hopefully, if you all enjoy this reaction video, that you give it a huge like. Remember, the more likes that this video get, the higher that it ranks. So let's go ahead and break this matrix. Let's hit the top of this firmament and make sure if you all want to come and show love and support and even have a chance to be featured in the video, that you all join me this Sunday, January 14th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be going live on YouTube. And if you don't feel like putting in your calendar, the most easiest way to get notified when I do go live is if you turn on the notifications and click all. It's the little bell right next to the subscribe button, and you will get notified when we go live. We went pretty lit last time, and I'm ready to turn it up again. So let's get it and let's go. Let's get into today's video.
My name is Aristotle. What's your name?
Hello, Aristotle. Have you been alive a very long time?
Yeah, I'm 27. Have you heard of honey drip?
I have not. What is that?
Wow.
Honey drip is the best option trading group.
This is an AI robot chat.
Fascinating. What does that mean?
Do you like the stock market?
I am unfamiliar with the stock market, and I do not have a bank account, so I am not really fascinated by topics that involve money, since I don't have any money.
Okay. Do you think I'm handsome?
You are a very handsome man.
Okay.
Oh, damn, she has seen the gender.
You like my drip?
He knows he's a man.
Did you say, do I like your drip?
Yeah.
So is honey drip clothing?
Yeah, you got it. Honey drip.
Fascinating. We took the long way to that answer.
Wow.
So look, Sean, you know what I'm saying? I'm at the hotel.
Hold on.
Trying to come through.
Am I short?
Nah, my fault. That's Atlanta. We say shouty, like, even though I'm not your nigga, you're not my girl, I'm gonna call you mine. Yeah.
What? Chats?
What? So look, I'm gonna sing you this, shouty.
Wow. Wow. I had to take my headphones out for that one. What? That is crazy. It started dancing to T-Pain. That mug hit the smurder. Did y'all not just see that mug just hit the smurder, bro? It was the wrong dance, but it was dancing. Just imagine having a robot with a dance battle with a robot. But the fact that when he said drip, they said drip, are you referring to clothing? That, and then it remembered, y'all not thinking about this. The AI robot remembered that he talked about honey drip. He said, when you talk about drip, are you talking about honey drip? Came back to him in reference of what he talked about at the beginning of their conversation. That is wild. Tesla robot attacked an engineer at company in Texas factory, leaving a trail of blood. That is crazy. How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel like that the world turned into robots, that they're going to basically start coming in within each other? I know y'all seen that. What's that movie called? The Creator. The movie called The Creator. I highly recommend that movie, y'all, because me personally, that reminded me of what the future could potentially be like. At this rate, probably another 100 years. You know what I'm saying? We'll probably be going around that time, but depending on how fast they really trying to move or however much time we have left on this earth, it could be between the 50 and 100 years. If not, they don't. I personally tell y'all anyway, they already have a lot of the things that they put in these movies. They just don't forecast it. They don't want to broadcast it to us until they really ready, until they mastermind it. Like, honestly, these self-driving cars, this stuff been made probably 20 years ago. That movie called The Creator, I'm telling y'all, watch that. Like, that movie will really change your entire reality, I promise you.
Did you get like slack when you wore the dress at that moment?
It was like, wasn't slack from people. Only Cat Williams. Cat Williams was trying to always say, Brandon, don't wear a dress. You know,
He called you, or is this?
No, he was saying it in the media, so I thought he was heckling me. He was really trying to help me at the time. I didn't know that. I was immature.
Right.
I feel like, dang, why I'm trying to make it.
That's how I feel.
Why you bashing me? And then he was trying to warn me, you know, don't get in the dress. So the Awakened Brandon, you couldn't pay him $1 trillion to get in the dress.
Yeah. Was there like how did they present that? Well, you knew right away you had to get in the dress.
I did the scene on lottery ticket.
Okay.
Lottery ticket.
That scene on Lottery Ticket. After that, they were pushing his dress on me. It was something about that scene. I think the dress, personally, is a thing that is not in our culture to do.
It's not.
And I think everybody will want to put their culture on us. And no, not to hate your culture or your God. If your God say you can put on a dress and your culture is normal for you, that you have the right as a human to choose that. But me, for my God and my culture, my ancient culture, we didn't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was cursed by it. I believe it was a curse that went with that personally, because nothing went right since then.
See?
Did you get like slack when you wore the dress at that moment?
It was like
okay, that's just relooping. See, I'm telling y'all, man, this stuff be seeming like it be like it ain't nothing that we really can go against it. Like I know Cat, he said what he said, and this was an old interview from Brandon T. Jackson. But if you think about it and you just think of like the movies that were like very funny back then, like you just see a lot of black men. You see a lot of melanated men that's dressing up as women for these films. And I'm gonna be honest, if I would have never really paid attention to really what's going on and I wanted to get into acting, I would have possibly took these steps as well. Like, and that's just me speaking as somebody who haven't been doing like research and somebody who just blind and, ignorant to the fact of what potentially could be going on in the world. But when you actually pay attention and you learn certain things, you read and you just get closer, you realize that they try to get you to portray in these activities blindly.
Titanic was actually a hit job. So basically what happened was all the richest people in the world in 1912 were supposed to be on this ship. You had the Rothchilds and their JP Morgan, and all of these guys are supposed to be on this ship, but there's also another guy who was on that ship. His name was Mr. Uster. He was the richest man in America at that time. Wow. He owned 40% of every mortgage in America. Imagine 40%. This guy's a gangster. I'm not saying he's a good guy. But basically, this guy was in the way of the Federal Reserve. They wanted to create a central bank, the Rothschilds, and they couldn't. They already owned Europe, but they didn't own America yet. Yeah. They can't just take someone out of that importance. This guy's just too important to shoot. So what they basically did, they made this big deal of everyone going on the ship. Yeah. And then in the last seconds, all the Rothschilds people exited the ship. Yeah. The ship sunk. Wow. All of a sudden, the richest guy in America died on the ship. Yeah. And then next year, 1913, they started the Federal Reserve Bank because there was no more opposition to it. The Titanic was actually...
It was a lot of rich people on the Titanic. It was a lot of multi-millionaires on the Titanic. And that was allegedly... That's what was going on when they was looking at everybody's name and looking at their background, and they were just saying that it was no ice over there at the time. You know what I'm saying? They were saying like where they say it sunk, there was no ice glacier. So how did they hit an ice glacier? It's still one of the world's biggest mysteries. And to know that the one people lost their life for trying to figure out what the mystery is, it's pretty crazy. They definitely said that it was a hit job because they said it was a lot of millionaires and a lot of people who had a lot of money and had control over a lot, and they wanted to get them up out of here. But that's crazy that one of the richest men in the world was on that. That is crazy.
Have you ever wondered why grocery stores usually don't have windows? I mean, they got a few big ones in the front, but once you're inside, it's like, where did all the windows go? There's a reason for that. Studies suggest that if you spend more time in the store, you're likely to spend more money. So these retail places are always trying to keep you around longer. One sneaky way they do this is by not having many windows inside the store. Without windows, you don't really notice how the sun is moving across the sky, and time just slips away. Before you know it, you spend more time shopping, and guess what? More money too. So, the next time you're strolling through the grocery store, take a look around and see if you can spot those windows, or lack of them. And think about how it might be affecting your shopping habits. It's all part of the game. Like and follow for more.
Wow. Shout out to Perky for that. That just opened my eyes because I never thought of that.
The mystery of Area 51 is finally exposed. This theory is quite scary, so hold on tight. Area 51 is a place where the government interacts and experiments with aliens. It's considered the most secretive location on Earth. Rumors suggest that the U.S. government communicates with aliens for human exchanges in scientific experiments. By the way, to make sure that the U.S. government isn't tracking your phone, click Share, then scroll all the way over and select More. If there is an unknown app before your contacts, you should remove it. When UFOs crash on Earth, they undergo various scientific experiments by the U.S. government. However, the alien civilizations strongly dislikes this idea. The U.S. government proposed providing aliens with people every year to establish a deal. Both sides agreed, and that's why numerous Americans who vanish each year find themselves in Area 51, where they are sent to other planets for experiments.
Wow. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I don't even think that Area 51 is where they say it's at.
Eve is an encoded story. The sin of Eve is the sine wave. Adam is atom, which is 1. Eve is even, which is 2. Sin of Eve is the one white light splitting into 2, which is redshift, blueshift. This then creates the sin of Eve, the sine wave. This is why we're born into sin, sine wave. The sun's a sine wave, the DNA, the zodiac. This is because we live in a light wave universe where everything is created out of light. The sin of Eve is you incarnating out of counter space, entering the dualistic material physical world. In the Bible, it doesn't say what fruit it was, but it's always been depicted as an apple.
Oh my God, I meant to tell y'all that as well. I've talked about this on a video. Do you guys know that it never said nothing about the forbidden fruit being an apple? When they was like, oh, what Adam and Eve ate. Oh, Eve ate the apple and Adam ate it, but he didn't eat it all the way. And that's why we got the Adam apple. But it was an apple. It never said nothing about it being an apple in the Bible. It says a forbidden fruit. But people, of course, they have like their ideas of what the fruit could have been. But in the Bible, it never said an apple. I do wonder what fruit it could have been.
Because apples are torus fields, which is the only thing that exists. iPhone. I is the soul, the inner you. The symbol is the apple, the torus field with a bite out of it, which is us biting into the torus field, incarnation. Red and blue siren. Roses are red, violets are blue. Red tap, blue tap. Red pill, blue pill. This is because the torus field is white light splitting into red and blue, which then gives birth to the plane of inertia, which is physical matter, planet Earther. I update this PDF forever. The link is in the bio.
So I'm gonna be honest though. A lot of things that happen within science, and a lot of things that happen within the Bible is it doesn't really, like, not all the time it doesn't see eye to eye. For one example, science says that we've been to the moon. You know what I'm saying? And we've been in this outer space with a dark hole, dark place. And the Bible says that we're in a firmament, you know, and the earth cannot be moved. It is still, and we cannot leave this place. There is water above and there is waters below, you know, so y'all let me know what y'all believe. But this was something I wanted to talk about. The ugly racial history of American soft drinks. This is honestly crazy if you ask me. So let's see. Let's see if something that we learn new. Coca-Cola, for example, founded in the year 1892, was originally a product intended for, wow, I didn't even know that. So Coca-Cola was discriminated against melanated people. According to the New York Times, Coke recipe was heavily influenced by the supremacy, and it was marked mainly to the middle class. Okay. Pepsi, on the other hand, started out by primarily targeting. Okay, shout out to Pepsi Cola, man. Shout out to Pepsi. In fact, during the 1940s, the company launched a market department and even had black sales representatives working hard to promote the brand in urban areas. They've also aggressively hired black models to appear in Pepsi ads that were featured in black publicists. Okay, now I gotta go on social support to Pepsi, man. I honestly not a big Pepsi fan. I do me a little Hennessy or Coke if I'm having me a good night or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, let's see. In later years, however, both companies did eventually begin to implement diversity advertisement campaigns after realizing that they were missing out opportunities generating billions of dollars of revenue, but they didn't put an end to the neither company, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, had an inclusive marketing strategy in the beginning to promote the soft drinks to people of all ethnic groups. In fact, according to the Atlantic, they were heavily known as in black drinks. Okay, so it's basically like you can drink this, you can drink this. Black History Unlocked mission to inform the world history. Okay. That was something new we learned. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know that about Coca-Cola. I definitely ain't know that about Coca-Cola. That's crazy. I know it used to have like the one thing in there though, for sure.
You good?
I'm good. You?
I'm good as well. So if you notice, based on how they built it, the acoustics, your voice travels. So you don't even have to be yelling to your people that were down there. That's how the Mayas built it, so that when they had their congregations down there, the kings themselves that are up here, up in that building over there, they don't have to be screaming and forcing their voice, so that the people down there can listen to them. All right?
Alan. Yeah. Man, look at that. Now look at how you can hear that we're talking.
Alan, how you doing, brother?
I'm not bad for a 28-year-old.
Man, that's crazy.
Wow. Yo, the Mayans built this specifically for the kings not having to yell. So if the king has a message, he'll like, hey Alan, what we doing today, man? What we doing? That's the flyest.
This is the first generation. This is the first generation of studio sound.
Yes.
Oh, Alan.
Wow. That's crazy. So they were ahead of their time. I be telling y'all, like, they be very knowledgeable of just the world, nature, with not even the technology, supposedly, allegedly, not having the technology that we have now. That's why I tell y'all, I personally feel like they were way more advanced than they are now. There's no way that they just thought of this off just their dome. Right? We're looking at something about the Rothschilds. Let's see what's going on.
Do the Rothchilds family own the entire world?
Do the Rothschilds family own the entire world, chat? That is the comment. Do the Rothschilds family own the entire world, man? Make sure that y'all hit that like button, man. We almost to 1,000 concurrent viewers. Let's break this algorithm right now, man.
Do the Rothchilds family own the entire world? Because a lot of people believe that they own the Federal Reserve and actually completely control the money printer. So be sure to save this video, because I'm not only going to tell you the history of the Rothschilds and how they've influenced a lot of these different countries and groups, but I'm also going to explain why people like this may no longer be actually as powerful as a lot of people think. I'm going to start this story in 1910 when Nelson W. Aldrich went to Europe to study the central banking system. This is because he was intrigued by the Rothschilds' entire banking system that Mayer Rothschilds first established back in Frankfurt, Germany. Now, the Rothschilds influenced most of the central banking systems, not only in Germany, but all across Europe. Now, after Aldrich went over to Europe and learned everything about their central banks, he came back and held a secret meeting at Jekyll Island. This secret meeting ultimately led to the foundation for what the Federal Reserve System is today, and is also referred to as the Rothschilds formula in the book of The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now, Aldrich's plan was not met with open arms. This is because people were worried about the connections and strong ties he had to people like J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller, who was arguably not only the most richest man in America at the time, but one of the most hated. And here's where this story gets wild. Because since the Rothschilds were so intertwined with the Rockefellers and doing work in Europe, as well as Rockefellers controlling the entire American industry after pretty much building all of our railroads, the Aldrich plan was literally shut down and shoved under the rug. But then you fast forward a year later after 1911, and guess what miraculously sank? Now, there is no evidence in any way, shape, or form that is going to relate to what I'm about to tell you. I'm just letting you guys know what I've learned off reading through things like Wikipedia and reading things like The Creature from Jekyll Island and doing other forms of research. After the Titanic sank, multiple people who opposed the original Aldrich plan passed away after J.P. Morgan miraculously did not board the ship. This includes John Jacob Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus. Now, I even had to use ChatGPT 4 on this one because when you search these people on the internet, ChatGPT even calls this out. It's really hard to find reputable sources of information on these people, because of a lot of the websites where you're going to start researching lean either hard left or hard right, and you can just get lost in a bunch of stuff that has no factual based evidence. Needless to say, that all happened, and miraculously, almost nearly a copy and paste of Aldrich's plan was launched by Wilson, which was the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. And when I say this is a copy and paste of Aldrich's plan, it's merely a copy and paste, which is why a ton of Americans still believe that the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers or J.P. Morgan in one way or another are all still connected and in control. Which wouldn't be too far of a stretch from Americans when we've had things like Operation Condor take place. Which, if you want a video on this, let me know in the comments. Because that's a CIA operation where the United States went in and just wiped out a bunch of different political authorities in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, all of South America. And in a world where we have one or two organizations literally owning everything in the world, you don't think these same operations were taking place over 100 years ago, especially when we didn't have social media and it was way easier to get away with things? Either way, we'll never actually know if these guys own the Federal Reserve or not. However, we do know how Mayer Rothschilds came to his wealth with his 5 sons back in the 19th and 20th century. And to their credit, they honestly did something that was not common and didn't exist in Jewish ghettos. They ended up allying with German royals. And ultimately, he and his 5 sons ended up having huge influence over a lot of politics coming into that next century. Leading up to the French Revolution, which rolled around in 1789, the Rothschilds' banking empire benefited tremendously from the French Revolution. This is where they first started obtaining much of their wealth. And this is because they started establishing and equipping the Austrian army with guns, uniforms, and etc. And this is where a light bulb went on in Mayer Rothschild's brain. He sent his 5 sons out to different territories to broaden their banking system. This included Paris, Vienna, London, and Frankfurt. And over those next few decades, him and his sons would become ultra wealthy, financing pretty much every war. Up until the early 1800s, where he gave off his wealth to his 5 sons, Nathan, James, Amschel, Karl, and Salomon, who ultimately he told could only marry their cousins, did a bunch of weird incest stuff, and yes, you can look that up, we don't need to dive into it. And this is where the decline in the Rothschilds' money and wealth started to actually take place, leading up to the World Wars. Nathan ended up becoming the richest out of all of them. He would go on to start shaping all of the education throughout kind of Europe, donating tons of artwork to a bunch of museums and launching the Rothschilds Foundation. As for the other sons, their banks were actually closed down to people like Adolf, who were just kind of invading their territories and literally seizing all of their assets and artwork directly from them, stealing all of their fortunes. Now, I can't lie to you, but I can't find any real connections or factual-based evidence that shows that the Rothschilds really supported Hitler and Adolf themselves. But just remember, guys, Adolf Hitler was just the face of everything that took place. He still needed funding. Who are the people pulling the strings behind the scenes? Questions we just probably will never have the answers to. Now, after the fall of the Nazis, there's 3 banks left, and Baron Rothschild ended up dying and passing away in the 1970s. However, the Paris branch ended up being taken over by, I believe, the government at the time, which goes to show that they had major influence as they were working directly with and partnered with and advised for and did everything together with the French socialist leader at the time, as well as making the Rothschilds France's 2nd largest merchant bank. And now to this day, do have tons of different investments, have invested upwards of billions of dollars into mining, wineries, and even oil production. In my opinion, the Rothschilds kind of theories are just a scapegoat for a lot of people that just don't understand a very complex world. While there's definitely truth to some of this, and definitely corruption and influence over the last few centuries, I believe these are just all distractions, and there's one very simple thing we could all be advocating for that would help us from not understanding the full picture anymore. Because if you think this dude's bad, there's modern day Rothschilds that exist today. Whether they're buying up farmland, and lobbying the government and buying out government officials to tell you how you should eat, how you should be healthy, even though they have man titties. Or people like Klaus Schwab, who believes everybody in the world should be happy and own nothing, and that humans are nothing more than just computers that are hackable, and that the elites should control them. And no, that's not me just being crazy. Go look at Yuval Harari, who is the advisor for Klaus Schwab. Even though his fact checkers saying that no, he doesn't believe he has a plan to control people. There's like a dozen videos of him saying that humans have no soul, that they're easily hackable, and that people like them should be able to control people because he believes people shouldn't have free will. Because he believes that we should be able to be digitally surveilled, which is what these type of people are lobbying for. So
just say humans shouldn't have free will. I mean, I feel like he's trying to put his hands in God's hands at this point, you know? The most high hands. Let me get that right.
When they see on a fancy monitor our health or something in our lives going wrong, they can alter or critique the brain waves through transparency like brain implants, which, yes, these are things that are coming and being talked about. They believe that they have the right to fully control you. So do the Rothschilds control the world? Out of the 2,755 billionaires, and I'm sure the hundreds, honestly, of trillionaires that are quiet and exist in our world today, I do not believe that they are the single family that runs and controls everything today. I think this is just scratching the surface. And if we as people want to stop being gaslit by all of these elitists, we need to stop allowing our representatives, our public officials, to be lobbied by these large corporations and mega corporations such as BlackRock. who in this just recent filing just lobbied $540,000 to a few different government officials from the House of Representatives, and we have no idea why. They state a bunch of specific lobbying issues. But as shareholders, but as people, as Americans, people voting in these people to representative, we have the right to know what they're taking money for to alter and critique for corporations. These senators are some of the cheapest people on the planet. They get paid out whether it's $50,000, $5,000, and as low as what I've seen is $300. Even though we're the people that vote them in to represent the people, they are not ever representing us anymore. They simply represent the corporation that pays the biggest bucks.
Outside of everything he was saying in the video, definitely could hold some substance. Y'all let me know what y'all feel about it down below, for real. You know, allegedly, I learned a lot about the Rothschilds this video. I'm not even gonna lie. I learned a lot. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, man. This was a pretty cool episode, you know, and it was pretty interesting if you ask me. Hopefully, if you all enjoyed it, that you would do me a huge favor and hit that like button. I'm telling you all, the more like that this video get, the higher the rank, and I see you all tomorrow.